Alright, hello and welcome back to our playthrough of the Rebel campaign here in Escape Velocity Nova, even though, strictly speaking, we have only done Federation missions thus far. And indeed, we are going to get our next mission, where that should diverge right now. You feel a familiar tap on your shoulder and you turn to see a young soldier who indicates that you should follow him. You are led to the room with a single blinding spotlight facing the door. "Excellent," exclaims the lovely voice of Commander Crane. "You are just in time. I was going to have to send somebody else if you hadn't checked in when you did." You hear the familiar creak of her chair as her weight shifts. "I warn you now, this one will be tough." You have never heard the beautiful voice sound so serious. But you'll probably find out exactly the way things stand around here as a result of this mission. Are you still interested? Yep. "This is another Black Op," she explains, "but I'm going to be sending you in blind. I want to find out exactly where your loyalties are. I can only do that by seeing how you react in the field. As usual, we want you to pick up a team and their prisoner," she continues calmly. "They are on Port Kane in the Cania system. That is all I will tell you for now. If you return here, it'll either be because you have proved your loyalties, or because our enemies have destroyed us. I know which one I am hoping for. Good luck, Captain Ben Arnold." Alright, very ominous, being sent in blind. But this is, as she indicates, the pivotal moment. We get to decide if we're going to stay loyal to the Bureau of Internal Investigation, or if we're going to defect to the rebels. And if you've looked at the title of this video, I think you know which one we're going to pick. So, as you pilot your way into one of Port Kane's docks, your comm system lights up and you receive a message from the leader of the counterintelligence team you're supposed to be picking up, telling you to meet them in the bar. They need your help on the ground. You wonder what help a single civilian could give, but as soon as you land, you jump out of your ship, leaving your engines hot, in case you need to leave quickly, and head off towards the bar. Okie dokie. You walk in to see 4 members in the counter-intel team crouched behind the bar, trying to drag an uncooperative man in a rumpled yet obviously expensive suit towards the door, whilst exchanging fire with civilians similarly behind cover trying to pin them down. "Help us out here," yells the leader of the C-Int team. You're about to draw your blaster and lay down covering fire when the man being manhandled towards the door looks up, and with a shock, you recognize him as the elected Port Kane representative to the Federation Council. "Please," he begs between blows from his captors, "I was only trying to set up a meeting with rebel representatives so they can present their side of the issues. The Bureau can't be allowed to kill freedom of speech as well." "Shut up," hisses one of the counterintelligence soldiers, clubbing the politician with her blaster. You realize that you must make your choice. Will you stay loyal to the Bureau, even if it means violating one of the inalienable rights of the Federation? Nope. You quickly decide there is a line you won't cross, and you draw out your blaster and shoot dead the surprised 4-man counterintelligence team. The counselor gets up and dusts himself off before coming over to shake your hand. "Thank you," he says sincerely. "I owe you my life. These men would have destroyed my mind for some pathetic spy game benefit. They'll be after you too now. I suggest you get the hell out of Federation space as soon as possible. My only suggestion would be for you to go to the rebel planet of Merrill in the Aldebaran system and ask for Jay in the bar. He might be able to make you disappear into the everyday life of a freighter captain." "You never know," he grins. "From there you could go on to become a high-ranking member of the rebellion. I'm going to head out of Federation space myself. Today has shown me that I cannot survive for much longer if I stay here. Whatever you decide to do, Captain." He clasps you on the shoulder manfully. "I wish you luck." Alright, we've made our choice. So now, we are wanted by the Bureau, whatever that means. And true to form, we are going to go to Merrill in the Aldebaran system. And this is normally where you would run delivery missions for Jay in mind-numbing boredom, but we're going to do something a little bit different. As soon as you finish your post-flight routine, you decide you better head to the bar to find this off-duty dockmaster. You ask the barmaid to point out the off-duty dockmaster, and she points to a stocky fellow enjoying a quiet drink. He looks up as your shadow falls across his table. "What can I do for you?" he asks politely. You explain your situation, saying you were directed here to do something useful for the rebellion that doesn't require you to have an enormous security clearance. He looks at you and runs his hand through his graying hair. "Well, we could use some help getting foodstuffs onto the planet," he muses. He goes on to explain. "The Bureau is trying to starve us out of the Federation, and people's belts are starting to look a little tight. Are you willing to become a freight courier? Yep. Alright then, he says, squaring his shoulders. If you go to Las Vegas in the Vegas system, pick up 10 tons of food and bring it back here, it'd be much appreciated. Ask for Jay when you return, and I'll make sure it gets distributed to the right people. When you're on Las Vegas, Jay continues, make sure you get your produce from a guy named Burton. He's willing to sell his food to people he hasn't seen before, so he's your man. You thank him sincerely, but he merely eyes you askance, leaving you wondering what you did wrong. You must have read your face, because he goes on to say, next time, he warns, picking up his drink, don't bring everyday business to the bar. I like my time off. You nod your head and start heading back to your beloved pirate's bounty, leaving Jay to savor the rest of his drink in peace. So normally you would go through the song and dance of doing food runs, then equipment runs, then rebel extractions, then rebel insertions, and we've already done that a number of times. Go check out the pirate, the bellows, what's the other ones that you do this in? You don't do it in the players, you don't do it in the Auroran. So the pirate and bellows campaigns, you would see that. Instead, we're going to be a little bit unorthodox about this. We do have to do this first food one, and we're going to complete that to great effect. I'm just going to blow up this ship to prove that I can. As soon as you land, you go looking for this Burton guy. Surprisingly, he's not too hard to find. The Las Vegas marketplace is very well organized, and within a half hour, you're standing in front of the man you want, haggling over the price. The two of you quickly reach an agreement, and you get your 10 tons of food, no question asked. He even gets one of his men to give you a hand loading the stuff onto your ship. After a casual look around to ensure that none of the Federation authorities are paying you any obvious attention, run through a quick pre-flight checklist before heading off planet. Okie dokie. So we have our food, and this is, thankfully, the last of these missions we'll have to do, because we are going to get captured by the Bureau. And I know that might sound like a terrible idea, but it is far more interesting than just doing the intended route. As soon as you open the hatch, you are hailed by a smiling Jay walking along the concourse towards you. I take it you got it? He states with a grin and a wink. You show him your holds, and he claps you on the shoulder. Come with me to my office, he says, and we'll see what can be done about payment and a regular run. We'll leave the unloading to the people who get paid for it. Kidoki, we follow Jay to his sparsely furnished office, and he sits you down on a comfortable chair. I take it, he states, that you'll be wanting to move your way up the ranks to the more exciting missions. When you nod, he grins and clasps you on the shoulder again. Good to hear, he says with an improving smile. Of course, we live in times where trust is at a minimum, and if you want to become involved in the more exciting missions, then you have to prove yourself worthy by doing plenty of the tedious, lower-risk runs. To get you started, he goes on, I'm going to make these food drops a regular occurrence, and each one you do will go a little way to proving yourself to the Rebel High Muck-Mucks. You nod in understanding. In the meantime, here's 15,000 credits to play with. He hands over a credit chip. Have a few drinks on me. So yeah, Jay, that sounds real interesting. Doing lots of low-stakes, tedious missions to gain the trust of the Rebel authorities, but I think we're going to try a different route. I don't recommend doing this if you want to do the Rebel campaign, because it's possible that you get soft-locked by accident doing this. Just pure bad luck. But here we go, we've gotten it to fire. You sit down to enjoy your drink when you're overwhelmed by average-looking men from all the surrounding tables. Working with the rebels, were we? Asks one in a sneering tone. Before you know it, you are imprisoned and turned over to the tender graces of the Bureau. What follows, you are not exactly sure for how long, maybe days, maybe months, or even years, was nothing short of hell. Even decades later, you are incapable of even thinking about what was done to you without screaming in fear. Nothing could have prepared you. The human mind is just not designed to be capable of dealing with such things. It finally ends when they implant an explosive device in your head. You cannot doubt its existence as you feel the scar behind your ear. The X-rays they bring out shows it clearly as a small, dark, egg-shaped mass. To make it very clear, you'll be working for them now. Welcome, Ben Arnold, to the Bureau of Internal Investigation. Nobody ever escapes. You are shepherded back into the room with a single spotlight facing the door, and you cringe, waiting for that beautiful voice to tear you apart. It seems I was right to have doubts about you, begins that lovely female voice. What's more, you have already begun infiltrating the rebel organization for us. Aren't you a wonderful little drone? Her chair creaks as her weight shifts. What we want you to do, she continues, is to continue with this infiltration. Do their bidding for a while and get their trust. If, during your travels, she shifts again, you see a ship called the Prodigal Son, it'll be because we want to contact you. Finish your current mission, then go to the bar on Earth and ask for Commander Crane. You'll be brought to me. Perhaps it'd be best if you continually checked the Earth bar, in case you miss the Prodigal Son, or if we can't put it in your path. Now, you head back to Merrill and continue as before. She finishes sweetly. I look forward to seeing you again soon, my dear. So Commander Crane is, as usual, a horrifying sociopath, but we have been captured and turned. And if we started off as a Federation agent, we then became a double agent working for the Rebellion, now we're a triple agent working for the Bureau again. What intrigue, what excitement. You land on Merrill, feeling completely miserable. You cannot help but feel distraught at your current circumstances. But the images of what they did to you, and that heavy mass in your skull just behind your ear, drives you onwards without mercy. Somehow you stop yourself from crying, and compose yourself as you go out to begin your betrayal of these good people. You have no choice. Let's go see if we can get Jay's attention. As usual, Jay is annoyingly hard to trigger. I think the chance of it firing is like 75% or something, but it's still a pain. You see a waving hand as you step into the bar, and you recognize Jay sitting in his normal place. You sit down and he grins at you. If you were to start betraying the rebellion, he says in jest, now would be the time you could start. That's funny, Jay. You look at him wondering exactly what he meant by that. The head sheds have decided to move you up a little further, he continues quietly. They want you to go and pick up a rebel informant who believes that she has been compromised. Are you in? Or do you need a little more time to prepare? Yeah, I'm in, Jay. In reality, this mission is fairly simple, Jay continues quietly. Not too different from the cargo missions you've been doing, except that you would pick up a passenger instead of freight. The lady in question, whose name is Anna, lives on Colon in the Sandown system. He tells you seriously. Make sure you aren't spotted on the way out, as the Bureau would really like it if they stumbled onto a rebel extraction. Jay leans forward to emphasize his next point. The rebellion prides itself on looking after its people when it can. You are now an integral part of that idea. Our leaders have made a vow to extract any agent in trouble if it is possible without further compromising security. It is one of the things that allows the rebellion to employ so many people. Otherwise, many would not pluck up the courage to join, and we'd be struggling even more than we are. I leave it in your capable hands, he leans back confidently. Good luck, Captain Ben Arnold. Well, Jay, I got bad news for you. But, I don't think this is going to go exactly as you planned. Regardless, we don't have a choice. It's like being a Velos all over again. Actually, strikingly similar, except, we're coerced by horrible means. I guess the Velos are too in their own way, but they don't explode. So it says Colon, which is the smaller of the two planets. You land and go through your normal post-flight checklist as usual. When you are finished, you head outside to stretch your legs and await the arrival of this passenger. You don't have to wait long. Within 10 minutes, a plump, middle-aged matron walks up and introduces herself as Anna. The ability of the rebels to spread information to the galaxy must be very good if she was able to be here almost as you landed. You take her inside and show her around before heading back to your cockpit to begin preparing to head back out into space. Alright, so we do have to be careful not to be scanned, because even though we are a Bureau triple agent, being scanned by the Federation will cause us to fail this mission and then we have to repeat it. It's not super fun. But thankfully, after this, we can start getting some unique dialogue associated with our, how shall we say, precarious status in the universe. Over the course of your journey, you learn that Anna is really only an informant. She only relays information regarding Federation Bureau activities on to other members of her cell network. You're a little impressed at the way the rebels have set up their informants. If any one person is turned, they can only ever incriminate a maximum of 3 others. And even then, unless they act within 2 days, they could not even do that. Anna thanks you for helping her out as she leaves, and you watch her walking away. You realize that you never did find out the story behind her removal, but then you doubt that she would have told you. She doesn't seem like the blabbing type. You look over to see the muscular figure of Jay walking towards you. You did good out there, he states seriously. Come to my office. I have someone I want you to meet. Jay, I think you mean you did well out there. You walk in to see a vaguely familiar figure with short hair and a military bearing. Allow me to introduce myself, the man says easily, reaching forward to shake your hand. My name is Cade Smart, retired general. You realize that you're talking to one of the founding members of the rebellion. You remember vaguely that General Cade Sundown Smart, as he was called, took command of the Federation's forces when the Aurorans had wiped out whole fleets of the Federation Navy under the incompetent command of his predecessor. His brilliance kept the Federation alive at a time when its destruction looked a virtual certainty. I want you to know that we've been following your career carefully, General Smart continues, and I want to pass on my appreciation for what you are doing. We are truly grateful for your efforts. Jay tells me he's going to make similar missions available to you through the mission BBS, and I can think of no one better for the job. Thank you, Captain Ben Arnold. Well, high praise, but if only you knew. So I believe we now have to go back to the Earth Bar to inform them of the current situation. And we should have some dialogue, I believe. Yes. You feel a tap on your shoulder as you sit down at the bar, and you turn to see a young soldier who informs you in a clipped tone that you have to go to New England in the Wolf 359 system. Commander Crane will meet you there. At the mention of her name, you get cold sweats, trying not to think about what was done to you, and the black explosive mass implanted in the side of your head starts to weigh you down. It truly some awful tactics. Alright. Amusingly enough, the Wolf 359 system is supposedly a retirement planet for, like, military officials, but it's also the head of the Bureau. Don't tell anyone. You're taken into a darkened room by a dock worker who refuses to be drawn. Hello, my pretty, comes that horrifyingly beautiful voice. Report. Make your report, and she grills you about the extraction and the appearance of General Smart. Your conditioning means you cannot resist her questioning. Not that you would with that small lump of explosive just behind your ear. Good, the voice decides finally. You've done well. Now we must start using your position to best advantage. From here on, she commands, I want you to bring any rebels you pick up here, and we will do a quick body switch, so we can start planting a few agents in amongst their network. Hopefully we'll start getting you to place agents in future, and then we will really be getting somewhere. In the meantime, she continues meaningfully, I want you to deliver this message pod to my man on Earth. You know who he is. Don't think for a moment that my finger has left your switch. So just sitting around all day in her office with the explosive detonator to our, let's call it coercion device. Really has nothing better to do, I guess. As you exit your ship, you see the soldier who has been your link to Crane sitting nearby in a seat that affords excellent visibility. You walk up and drop the message pod in front of him. Without a word, he punches a long string of numbers into the encryption lock and reads the contents. He looks up and in clipped tones says, Commander Crane wants you to continue as planned with your infiltration and await the usual prodigal son signal before returning here. With that, he closes the message pod and returns to looking around, ignoring you. Obviously, as far as he is concerned, this conversation is over. Okie-dokie. As you head back to your beloved pirate's bounty, you wonder how long you can live with yourself doing what you are doing to these brave rebels. No one deserves to go through what was done to you. You have no doubt they will be subjected to it as well. After you spend over an hour sitting at the controls sweating, shaking, and weeping uncontrollably, you recover and head out into space in the deepest despair of your life. You see only two paths ahead of you, death or damnation. Which will it be for you? I'm going to pick secret option number 3, actually. But doing so is not as easy as it sounds. As I believe I mentioned earlier, this little side mission can potentially soft block you into an unwinnable game state. And it can do so in a way that you can't avoid if you're unlucky. So hopefully that won't happen to us. If it does, it will be deeply unfortunate, and I'll have to re-record the episode, because there's literally no way out of it. Unless you have a backup pilot. Oh, come on, Jay. Why? Oh. I believe this is our way out. I was under the impression you actually have to do the next mission to get this, but if you notice, these Rescue Rebel missions have different text. The regular one here is another Rebel agent has reported in that he might have been compromised and needs extracting, but there's this one, where it says your eyes mist over as you read another rebel agent has reported in saying they have been compromised and needs extracting. So we're going to pick that one. This is in fact the way out. Secret option number 3. You cannot stand it any longer. You head toward Jay's office with people staring at you because of the tears in your eyes. You walk in and he looks up in alarm. He immediately gets up and closes the door behind you. What's wrong? He asks as he puts a hand on your shoulder. You collapse on the floor as you realize that you cannot tell him. Your conditioning prevents you. I don't understand, Jay stumbles, unsure of himself. You reach up and part your hair just above your ear, revealing the surgical scar from your implant. He understands immediately. He reaches down and with surprising strength lifts you up to your feet. We have people who can help you, he tells you urgently, but you have to go to Rebel 1 in the Evely system. You'll be taken care of there. Don't worry, I'll send 2 ships with you for protection. You stare at him dumbfounded. Hurry, he roars at you, suddenly angry. How much time do you think you have before they discover you've been turned and set off the device? Alright, well, now we will be the elusive quadruple agent. Having gone from Federation to Rebel to Federation to Rebel, which I believe is the maximum number of times you can change sides. And sure enough, they are sending quite the party of ships to chase us. But thankfully, we jump far faster than any of them do. If you're doing like a much heavier build, I can imagine it'd be sort of a pain, but maneuverability really is king in this game. And it does not seem like the fleet has followed us here. Okay. As soon as you land, you're whisked away to a hospital. Some sort of breathing apparatus placed over your face and everything goes black. For the next few days, you float in and out of consciousness, never truly awakening. One time you recognize the voice of General Smart. Things they do, he growls angrily. And you still want to play your damn spy games? Always was like Melissa to use a club instead of a knife, replies another voice impassively. You never did have much finesse, and look where any further talk was cut off as you slipped further into the darkness. You awake sometime later to see General Smart sitting at your bedside. Good to see you're awake, he greets you. I wanted to be here to tell you, I no longer have any doubts about you. I doubt I would have had the strength to do what you did. Very few would. I would be honored to work with you in the future. Now get back to Merrill. Tell Jay to stop pestering me about you. So there you go. This is actually, I believe, the only time in the game you ever learn Commander Crane's first name, so Melissa Crane. It's the only time I can think of, and it's only if you do this incredibly optional side mission. So we still have our escorts. We are now freed from the Bureau's control, and we are fully committed to the Rebel storyline, so no more switching sides. Although, truth be told, that last foray into the Bureau's graces is not a true side switch. You cannot do the normal Federation campaign if you get into that side mission string. In fact, as I mentioned, it will soft lock you from beating the game at all, and instead you have to, well, instead you get killed. Jay greets you as soon as you open your hatch. Damn, it is good to see you again, he says with a grin and a hint of a tear in his eye. I was more than a little worried, I can tell you. I was sending messages to HQ every few hours, don't you know? I heard that General Smart got pretty irritated about it. He chuckles. But what are friends for? You're famous, he exclaimed suddenly after shaking your hand. Everybody's talking about you. The man who somehow overcame the infamous, never-before-defeated conditioning of the Bureau. You have given hope to thousands of rebels that even if you are taken, it isn't impossible to make it back, only inexpressively difficult. You're a hero. You almost collapse with the weight of it all. You don't feel like a hero. After all, didn't you work for the other side until a few weeks ago? The shame of your actions still burns away inside of you. Jay sees your distress and puts his arm over your shoulder and whispers in your ear. Don't worry. All this is mainly because the head sheds decide to send out the details of your exploits in order to boost morale amongst troops. Don't worry, no names are mentioned, although I don't doubt that a few people will start putting 2 and 2 together. But for now, your secret is fairly safe. General Smart wants you to get back to what you were doing before all of this came up. He continues supportively, which was working with me. So I hope you like extractions, because I've programmed the Mission BBS to allow you access to them, he tells you cheerfully. Whenever they come up, I'll post them, and if you're around, you can pick them up if you want to. In the meantime, I suggest you get a few drinks in you. After what you went through, I would be getting plastered and staying that way. Damn, it's good to have you back, Ben Arnold. So at some point, I might follow that little side mission through to completion, because it feels like it was something that was meant to lead somewhere and then doesn't. Not to spoil anything, but you do eventually get the option to get out of it a second time, but it actually doesn't lead to anything. It just causes the current mission to fail, and then they give it to you again, and eventually you just have to complete the mission and lose the game. So I don't think this was ever really finished in the intended way. So once again, we are back to trying to get Jay to notice us. Notice me, Jay Senpai. But that's fine. We are getting close to a full episode here, and we are also getting close to the split in the Rebel storyline. So the Rebel storyline is similar to the Polaris storyline in that there are two routes you can take. What's not similar is while the Polaris line recombines, the Rebel line doesn't. So there are technically two endings to it. So of course we'll be doing both. Whichever one we do first will be, I don't know, I'll have to decide which one I want to do first. But I'll make sure to label them distinctly in the playlist. Maybe I'll actually have to make two playlists for it because, like I said, they're completely different storylines. It's actually kind of surprising, like the Federation campaign doesn't split like this. But no matter. It's also not obvious why it splits in the mission that it does, but it's just one of those things you get to discover about the game. That's what makes the game so good, and what makes me coming back to it after years and years and years. Finally. You see a waving hand as you step into the bar, and you recognize Jay sitting in his normal place with a slightly overweight woman next to him. You sit down and he grins at you. Guys at HQ want to move you up another link in the chain, he says in earnest. It looks like you're on your way. Gives you a wink. Realistically, though, he continues sardonically, your next step isn't any different from your last step, but think of it as another rung past to make it to the top. Are you in, or do you need a little more time to settle yourself in? We're in, Jay. We're talking now about insertion missions, Jay continues quietly, where you take an agent from here and plant them wherever they need to go to start their new lives as informants. Allow me to introduce Fiona, he indicates the woman next to him. She needs to get to Moonview in the Moonrise system. The usual deal applies in keeping away from the Federation and the Bureau. Good luck to the both of you. Alright, so the excitement and also the unique dialogue with doing the side mission string is now over. This is back to business as usual. However, we might still run into some unique dialogue from being a Knight of the Red Branch later on, which is also always fun. Alright, Moonview. I can't say I actually go to Moonview that often. I don't think anything particularly remarkable about this system. Although, we'll check the trade depot and see if that is indeed the case. Maybe there's an excellent, unique commodity or something. And of course we're just going to do the simple loop around to avoid the patrol. Fiona thanks you for giving her a lift as she leaves, and you watch her walking away. You realize that, in all likelihood, you'll never see her again. You'll never know her story. Why did she join the rebels? Why is she willing to risk her life and mental health for something as ephemeral as an ideal? Her retreating back seems a fitting metaphor for the way this war is being carried out. Feeling a strange sense of sadness, you head back up to your cockpit. Oh, wow, this is where the ice lizard pelts are sold. See, I'm glad I checked. So those ice lizard pelts you actually get from there's a system here where it's the only thing they really sell are ice lizard pelts. And naturally they sell them for a low price, and so I guess if you want to make a profit, you bring them to Moonview. Just one of those things. The unique trading commodities is a fun thing about the game. I wish the trading system was a little bit more robust, because there are just a couple of trade routes that you learn and then you don't have to do any of the other ones ever again, because they're just not nearly as good. You look over to see the muscular figure of Jay walking towards you. All go well? He asks cheerfully. You nod and he continues expansively. Let's go to my office. I have a credit chip with your name on it. The two of you head off the concourse to the building where his office is located, whereupon he goes through the familiar ritual of rummaging through his desk drawers. Here it is, he says, at last pulling the chip. This should keep you eating for a few more days. I'll see to it that the head sheds hear about this, he promises with a grin. It's always good to see a decent man get ahead in this sad universe of ours. Yeah, and escape the clutches of the Bureau. Alright, so this is, I believe, our last interaction with Jay for a little while. Well, if it isn't Mr. Big Shot, comes the cheerful call as you walk into the bar. You look over to see Jay laughing at you and motioning you over to his usual seat. It seems that the people upstairs want a piece of you, he says cheerfully as you sit down. You want me to officially ask if you want a reassignment from grunt work to intel. Apparently the guy in charge of our spook work, Frandl, is a little impressed with you and requested you personally. The name Frandl bothers your memory somehow, and you ask Jay about it. Don't ask, he says, rolling his eyes. The guy used to be the head of the now defunct Federation Intelligence. It's only a code name. I don't think anybody, even the other rebel leaders, know his real name. But don't change the subject on me, he wags his finger in mock anger. Are you interested, or do you need a little more time? Oh, we're interested. I don't know what they want you to do, Jay continues seriously. I've been told that you have to report to Rebel 2 in the Korea system. That's it. He leans forward on his enormous arms. Be careful with the spooks, Jay says carefully. I'm sure they have the best of intentions, but I get the feeling that the longer a person spends manipulating other people and learning to live several different lives, the more it warps their perceptions. I don't think there's a spook out there who doesn't go a little bit weird after a while. And look out for that Frandl guy. He'll come across as a decent sort of bloke, but I've never met anybody who is more willing to sacrifice anything to achieve his aims. To him, we're all pawns moved about in an enormous chess game. None of us matters as long as he wins. Good luck anyway. Thumps you on the arm. I'm sure he'll beat the hell out of carting freight around. So I should make abundantly clear that the term spook in this oops, not trying to find a system. In this game refers to a secret agent, a spy, not its other, perhaps, or definitely more unfortunate connotations. But Frandl should be obvious, the other person we heard General Smart talking to when we were recovering on Rebel 1, or in the Rebel 1 system, on LV. He's the one who knows Melissa Crane's first name. But no matter, we'll do this right here, and then we'll call it an episode. You're greeted by General Smart and a rather nondescript man just short of 6 feet tall, slim build, and a slightly hooked nose. Welcome to Intel, states General Smart as he shakes your hand. He indicates the man standing next to him. Allow me to introduce Geoff Daniels. He'll be your Intel supervisor. The two of you shake hands, eyeing each other curiously. I've heard good things about you, Geoff says positively. It's nice to finally meet you. Why don't you have a look around the station and maybe in a bar in an hour or so? I need the time to come up with your code name and to hammer out the details of your first mission. We've also cleared you to purchase many of our ships, such as they are, but of course you can keep your current ship if you wish. General Smart leans over and announces in a conspiratorial whisper loud enough for Daniels to hear. Watch out for these spooks. They think they run the universe. Geoff Daniel just smiles gently. What do we do, General? Don't you know that? Alright. Very funny. So we are going to trade up for a Rebel Starbridge because, well, we're in the Rebel campaign. Why not? Also, I like the green color scheme. Got a very nice vignette, too. So, as always, the controversial Starbridge finds service in areas other than its intended use in commerce. The excellent, if expensive, Starbridge design has been adapted to the needs of the rebellion by Donald Schick, ex-CEO of Sigma Shipyards. It has been decades since Sir Donald has put his hand to a set of hypospanners, or hydrospanners, but he has taken his small team of craftsmen and churned out the best variant of the Starbridge yet. I do love a good Starbridge, so we're going to call this Starbridge. That's the real question. Caps lock. I think we're going to call it Melissa's Bane. After our dear, dear Commander Crane. And we're going to unload all this terrible, terrible junk they insist on putting on it. Get our port and polish, our horizontal booster. We need to get our vectored thrust. We also need the general IFF decoder. Gravimetric sensors. Oh, not carbon fiber. I want an auto recharger. Solar panel. We'll see where we are after we get all the stuff we need. Let's zip down to Earth. Yeah, it doesn't turn very well yet. Get the Sigma upgrades. Surprised that if they have the CEO of Sigma Shipyards in the Rebellion that you can't get the Sigma upgrades from any of the Rebel systems, but I suppose it's just not, maybe they don't have the infrastructure to do it. Regardless, we definitely have the credits to spare to get what we need. Engine tune-up, definitely. We also want to get electrical rewiring if we can. 2 of the mass additions. 1 electrical rewiring. There it is. Alright. And now we head down to our good friend Eamon Flanagan, where he can hook us up with some vectored thrust. Already got our port and polish. These are just the stuff you learn that every ship needs after a while. I am tempted to keep the close combat variant that we have at the moment because I think it leads to more entertaining to watch content. So that means we'll also have to take a jaunt down to the Auroran space to get chain guns. Vectored thrust, do they have Thunderhead Lances? This is one of the few places you can get them. After a while of playing this game, you just learn where you can get all the various outfits. Thunderhead Lances are forever my bane because, for whatever reason, they don't ever seem to want to appear in the outfitters. Alright, look at those last, I guess. Instead, we'll work on getting some chain guns. And the best place to do that is Heron, and we have access to the hypergate system, so it's easy enough to zip down to Heron and pick some up. We're not going to be doing any more story missions in this episode, so if you are so inclined and don't want to watch me outfit the ship, I will see you next time. But for those who are interested in my preferred setups for my ships, feel free to stick around. It won't take too long. Oh, we need to get a sensor boost. We need to get probably the pirate sensor boost. No chain guns? Where are the chain guns? Rail guns. I do love me some rail guns, but that's not why we're here. Storm chain gun, that's why we're here. 2. Sure. Alt. Buy. Alright, cool. I admit it's kind of a silly, setup. They are turreted, I believe. With that being said, I can't get them to fire. What am I doing wrong? What is going wrong here? Are these the automatic ones? Did I buy the wrong chain guns? Storm Sacred Weather Pattern. Destroying fighters without requiring any command input. Bridge. Yes, I did buy the wrong ones. We want these ones. They're also much cheaper, so let's take 5 of them. What could possibly go wrong? Oh yeah, there we go. What a ridiculous weapon. Alright, another place that could have Thunderhead Lances is I believe they are sold on the Rebel world of LV, Rebel 2. So we'll check there. And we could also... What else do we want to put on this? We'll definitely want some defensive technology, but the best defense is a good offense. Oh, sensor boost, that's what we want. No Thunderhead Lances. We could get Wraitheye. It seems a little bit easy. Also, they seem to have 2 variants. Fascinating. One must be the Polaris approved one. You don't want to buy the wrong one, because then if you go into Polaris space, they will blow you up. But it's only 10 tons, so yeah, why don't we get some of these? Can't hurt. They are, in fact, one of the best weapons in the game. Outside of the ones you can only get when doing the Polaris storyline. Gee, I just can't get my Thunderhead Lances today. Well, I might have to do that off screen. Oh, you don't want any part of this. Yeah, didn't think so. Where are you? It's a good ship. It's a really good ship. Yeah, I think I'll take care of this off screen. Because I'm just going to fly around, re-land on planets, and try to get the Thunderhead Lances. And that's probably pretty boring if you're not the kind of person who, well, likes to watch that kind of stuff. It's more fun to be at the controls when you're doing it. Either way, thank you for joining me. This was a very successful episode of the Rebel storyline. We have managed to switch sides twice in the space of about half an hour. I hope you'll stick around for more to come. And until next time, no matter what you do, I hope that you have a good one.